Hi guys, it's Nick here from Unique Life Design. This morning, as I was sitting in my hanging chair, I had an idea to make a video showcasing the resilience of a UK tropical garden. A lot of people get discouraged by the difficulties, the challenges they face, the losses they face during winters. And a lot of times it looks like almost everything is lost. To be honest with you, I felt really down at the end of the horrible winter we had last time. And I made 2 videos about it. So I just wanted to show you how many of the things that I considered lost or had doubts about, they actually, life finds a way. They actually survived. They actually beginning to thrive again. So I hope that will help you on your journey, as it definitely gave me help. A lot of birds are flying right behind the camera now and are feeding on the, I will try to show you, but they're gone. But they were feeding, I believe, on the seeds of the dying black bamboo that we had right over there. So yeah, they always appear when I try to make a video to try and distract me, but I'm getting distracted now. So let's get back on topic. Okay, I can even show you behind me the first plants I'm gonna start with. Yep. So this is the Washingtonia robusta. So the Washingtonia robusta, it looked really dead. In spring it was rotting all over, so it didn't seem to be pushing new leaves at all, so we had to take extreme measures. I performed an operation cutting down the trunk and also stripping layers of the outside of the trunk which were rotting. As you can see, it's clearly visible here. This is the level that we cut it to, and at first it didn't show any movement, but in time, bit by bit, it started growing again. And as you can see now, we already have what at first they were deformed leaves, but now we already have something like 1, 2, 3 leaves and 4th on the way. So it is back to growth, it is back to developing, and if as I hope, we have a nice milder winter, which is usually the case after the horrible one, fingers crossed, that would mean that it would recover properly, and then it will start growing and become a very beautiful plant again. So yeah, I'm really glad that we didn't remove it. I got the advice to do that, what I did, and yeah, we are rewarded with still a sizable plant that we can enjoy. This is Brahea edulis, which also suffered quite badly during the winter. It spear pulled quite deeply, quite a few actually of the leaves we pulled out that were rotting inside, but I'm really glad to report that it has recovered spectacularly. As you can see, lots of new leaves, good looking and shiny. So yeah, it's a great relief and great joy to actually see them like that. Now our only remaining Phoenix canariensis, CIDP, Canary Island date palm, which suffered really heavily during the winter. It had a spear pull, quite a few leaves actually were pulled, and it looked for all intents and purposes dead, but we decided to give it a chance. The one inside in the back garden didn't survive, but this one slowly woke up and began pushing new leaves, and as you can see, it's now on its way to full recovery. Again, let's hope for milder winter this time. But after watching it surviving such an ordeal, for me it's keeping the hope alive. I do hope it's not gonna be as bad this time. Here you can see our biggest Butia. I was quite surprised that it suffered some damage too. In the middle, it wasn't really bad spear pull, but it did have some rot in there, and for such a big and strong plant it's quite the surprise. But as I said, the winter was quite horrible. So I'll just come closer to show you. You can see here, but it has grown out of it quite impressively. So I believe now it's back to full health. Butia catarinensis, it suffered some damage. It had a spear pull, and we even moved it in order to give it better position with more sun, and to replace the dead Brahea turuli that we had here. And it took its time, but as you can see now, I will just try and come closer. A new growth is beginning to appear in the middle. So hopefully this one will develop and get stronger, and it will become a real beauty. This Butia eriospatha had spear pull too, but as you can see, it has grown out of it really impressively. This Butia archeri here had a really bad spear pull, and I didn't give it much hope, but it's been with us quite a few years now and it recovered. I'm really glad about that. It's quite difficult to find this species, and this has proven to be really resilient for me. So yeah, quite happy to report that this one recovered too. This here is our Dasylirion serratifolium. As you can see, had quite extensive damage on the top, but when the weather improved, its fortunes surprisingly improved as well. It started pushing a new head a little bit to the side, as you can see, going in one direction. You can also see the damage, and even hidden underneath the protection of the old leaves. As you can see here, we have a little new baby coming out of the trunk lower down. So I do believe that this one will have a bright future, and it will become a really interesting one when will be able to see properly both heads. I'm still keeping all the leaves that are not dry and yellow, but in time I will cut all of these leaves so the new head will be really visible and it will start growing properly. So we will have quite an interesting specimen here. The next one I wanted to show you is our biggest clump of Musa basjoo, the Japanese hardy banana, which it was rotting down to the ground. I will show you the stumps. So I had serious doubts that it would recover. It was really rotting and not do it well, as you can see. So, but in time, as you can see, we have had a few pups coming up, and one of them is even already quite sizable. Even in mild winter, I still think we will lose the leaves, but hopefully the winter is not going to be too bad, so we're not going to lose the stems once again. So I'm quite happy with the recovery they have made. I will show you a few more places. We actually, when we lost the stems, we had quite a bounty of new pups coming up around it in late spring. So we even managed to put a few more in different places, but I will show you where we lost the stems from two other places, I believe, and they recovered quite well. Just bear a moment with me. This is another banana that we lost the whole stem of it, but it made a very strong recovery. It became even bigger than the biggest one we used to have at the back of the garden. So I will come closer. Now it's looking a little bit shabby because of the strong winds that we had, but it's still quite impressive. I will just come closer to show you the, hopefully, the stump of the old one. And that's a little one here. Yep, I don't know if you can see it, but it is there, just in front of the chicken. It's already so rotten that it's almost invisible. Yeah, that was the old one here. As you can see, quite a thick one, quite a big one. But now we have two in its place. And in all honesty, I believe the one that we have at the moment here is even higher, taller than the one that we used to have before. I will quickly switch to the one over here. Again, we lost quite a good stems here, but they recovered. Yep, see it here quite clearly. Cordylines, I will start with the red star, the red one. As you can see, we lost the main stem. It was more than a meter, maybe a meter and a half high, but it sprouted quite a few new heads, as you can see. So we will have a clump now. It's beginning to grow and it's beginning to develop. The pink cordyline that we had in the middle of a little island in our pond that looked completely dead, as you can see. Let me see here. Yep, you can see the remains of the stem, but two new heads appeared. Here I will show you a few more examples. Here is the remains of the stem of the old Cordyline choco mint, with a new head appearing, and we even managed to move the other new head that appeared to a new place, and it kind of took off better than the one that we have here. I will show you. See, this one here looks healthier and stronger than the one that is left next to the mother plant. Sometimes I'm not sure what the reason is, but maybe because of all the rot that is happening, soil around it is maybe infected, or whatever the reason may be, or the conditions are just better in the new place. But the ones that you move tend to start growing quicker and stronger than the one that were left next to the mother plant. Not always the case, but sometimes it can happen. As you can see, this one is much better than the one that is left there, although I do believe that the other one is still alive too, and it's beginning to grow, so I hope we won't lose it again. And if we do lose it, I hope that the plant will produce a new head from the roots. Here is another example of the pink cordyline, pink passion, I believe it was called. So this was the biggest one we had, maybe a meter tall, one of the biggest I've seen ever anywhere. But unfortunately it suffered during the winter, so we had to cut down the top, and as you can see from the remaining stem, quite a few new heads had appeared. So we will still have the plant. This sago palm here, Cycas revolutus, lost all its leaves and even began looking a bit mushy on the top. But luckily, when the weather improved, it produced a new flush. So it's still looking quite nice. Maybe the leaves are smaller than they used to be, and that is to be expected after the damage, but still quite a nice, strong, healthy plant. Similar story for the Cycas panzhihuaensis here. It lost all its old leaves, but produced a new flush, and now it's looking healthy. Again, the leaves are a bit smaller, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Hopefully next year it will produce bigger leaves again. Yucca duo. We lost quite a significant plant here, maybe 1.5 meters tall, but at least we can see a new head appearing. I will show you another place where we had, I believe, our biggest plant, which sprouted quite a few new heads. Just bear with me. That is the other one. As you can see, the base here is huge. We had few, maybe 4 stems coming out here that we lost, but luckily new ones appeared. what's more, we even took one of the cut stems and planted it into the ground, and in time actually developed its own roots, as you can see here, and it started developing new heads. I can see here 2 from the top and 1 from the bottom. Similarly here with the standard Yucca elephantippus, the green one, the mother plant didn't survive and even didn't produce new heads, but we took one stem and we planted it, and as you can see it had rooted and it's starting to have what, already 4 new heads. So we will still have the plants and we will use it. Yucca decipiens here. This is the baby of the big plant that we had here. We tried to root the cut stem of the mother plant, but so far it's not going great. There is a chance still maybe, but who knows. Winter is around the corner, so I think this is the most viable plant that we have for this type. But yeah, I'm glad we at least have the baby, and the baby is growing nice. Similarly for Yucca trichuliana here, it just lost its kind of top, but it started growing again, and I can see a few leaves already. Pretty much the same story for Yucca thomsoniana here. The top leaves, the middle, was rotting, but when we took it off and we gave it a chance, it started growing new ones. So yeah, that's great. They had disappeared like they do every winter, but we had quite big doubts whether they will reappear. But as you can see, they not only reappeared but actually flowered and produced seeds even. These are the seed spots here. So yeah, this is one type. Here I will show you next to the palm another one sprouted, another one in the back. Two. Now this little survivor here, Brahea brandegeei, it lost all its leaves, it had a spear pool, and I was pretty sure it was dead. I just didn't get around to actually removing it, and to my surprise, at some point during the summer it started growing again, and it produced this, that's what you're seeing now. Unfortunately, when I was planting it and it was really little, I didn't have much space, so I put it in a place that it didn't have any chance to grow long term. So we needed to remove it. I knew that it doesn't like being moved, so we were extra careful and kept all its for sure we kept all its roots. We didn't lose any roots at all and tried to not disturb it as much as possible. Unfortunately, right after we removed it, we had a real hot spell, and followed by quite extensive rain. So it began to wane a little bit, as you can see. It doesn't look too good, but my hopes are that it will prove us wrong once again, because I've written it off so many winters that I forgot to count now. It's been maybe 80 years with us. It was really small plant, barely a seedling, and now it's still a small plant. But as I said, I hope it will prove us wrong once again and it will start growing once again. The biggest surprise for me was that even one Trachycarpus and few of the smaller Chamaeropses suffered damage too, which is really unexpected. It hasn't been the case for more than 10 years now, before last winter, but it did happen. We had a spear pull of this Trachycarpus other side, which is a bit of an unknown entity. Anyway, it had a quite deep spear pull, but it recovered strongly. As you can see, now have already quite a few strong leaves, and it's looking back to optimal health. Chamaerops humilis volcano also had a spear pull, although it produced so many new leaves now that it's difficult to show you any remains of the damage. Actually, it has outgrown them. I can find here one little leaf that you can see, but anyway, it has forgotten about the damage already and it's growing strongly. This Chamaerops too suffered the top head. It was a spear pull and it didn't look too good, but it recovered. As you can see, it's looking back to full health now. Similar case here with this Chamaerops. Again, it had a couple of heads suffering damage, but it recovered strongly and it's already in full growth mode. Trithrinax campestris, surprising casualty, I would say. It's been with us for many years. It's really slow growing, but it was always growing through the even some bad winters we had in the past. Unfortunately, during this winter, as you can see, we lost one of the heads, but the other one survived, and I believe because it was more horizontal rather than upwards, so it was less direct water coming into the center of the head. It survived and it looked quite healthy and it's growing quite nicely actually. Even I believe it's growing stronger now than the other one is not there. So yeah, that's great. We still have, it will be unusual Trithrinax campestris, because it's going to be one stem, one trunk only, rather than the usual 2 or even 3. But who knows, it may even produce a new one in time. So we will keep an eye on it and we will enjoy it. The last plants I wanted to mention is our tree ferns. This one normally does not lose its leaves during the winter, but during the bad winter we had, it lost all of them, like all the others, so we were quite worried. It began looking a bit mushy on the top too, like the other ones, so we were hopeful but apprehensive, let me put it that way. And fortunately for us, all of our tree ferns produced new leaves, new flushes. So as you can see now, it's looking majestic again. I will come closer to show you even the other type that we have got, the really tiny Cyathea australis. No problems, it produced plenty of new leaves and it's growing strongly. With the tempo it is going, it will with maybe, hopefully, my grand children that will be looking at it as a proper plant, but I enjoy the process, and seeing it small is actually quite gratifying, seeing it grow from a really small plant. Okay, I will show you a few others. That is another one here at the back, as you can see. Again, it's already having the full head. Can we see something of the trunk from afar? Not really, but I think it's quite clear. And this is our two-headed monster. It's Dixonia antarctica with two heads. Again, the big head started growing. It was later than usual, but we weren't that worried because the other one started before it, so we kind of hoped and knew it will produce growth, but the small one took its time, really took a lot of time, so we were ready to write it off. But you should not give up hope, as it is the case mostly in life. Hope is one of the most precious things, so keep hold of it and keep your patience too. So yeah, finally it started growing too. So yeah, I'm glad to report it. Another unlikely survivor here, Musella lasiocarpa, golden lotus banana or Chinese dwarf banana as it's also known. I really didn't have any hopes for it because it's supposedly less hardy than the Japanese hardy banana, the Musa basjoo. But as you can see, surprisingly, out of the stump we have got two new stems appearing. Let me show you. See? So that's a great news. They haven't grown much, as you can see, but they're still alive, they're here, so I have reasonable hopes that next year we'll be enjoying these bananas too. Tetrapanax Rex, the famous T-Rex with the big leaves. It was quite a significant plant. Unfortunately, it looked dead, so we cut the top, as you can see, and we didn't have much hope. But quite late in the summer, new pups began to appear. This is one here that we left next to the old plant, and we even managed to take one and put it in another place. I'll show you in a second. Yep, that's the one, the new one that we put here. It's really small. I'm not sure how it will survive the upcoming winter, but at least we know that the mother plant is producing new pups, so we will always have a chance to restart. But hopefully the winter is not gonna be that bad, and the new plants will have a chance to continue their growth from the position where they stopped before winter. That's it, guys, for today. I hope you can find some hope and inspiration on your journey from our experience, and keep up the faith. So on this beautiful is it September still? September day, I wish you to have everything the best. Okay, bye.